Are you afraid of what's going to happen to your business and its employees if you have to stay closed for the next 4 to 8 weeks?
We're Shannon and Michael. We're with Healthcare Genius, and this is the first of a series of videos that we're doing around and how it's affecting all of us. This one specifically, how it's affecting business owners. So, Michael, I know that in our previous little intro video, you mentioned a dentist that's a client and some of the struggles that they're having that they really hadn't anticipated prior to this whole thing. So can you talk to us a little bit about what he's going through and what some of his biggest fears are that he, again, hadn't really thought about?
Yeah, Shannon, most of the time when it comes to a medical practice or a dental practice or any professional practice, you're thinking about what's going to happen to you if you can't come to work and do your job. And that's normally what's covered under disability insurance. There are coverages that would provide a similar coverage if you can't come and do your job to pay for the overhead of your business. So that's traditional disability insurance and it's traditional business overhead insurance. And then on top of that, you normally have property casualty insurance where if a flood or a fire, something happened to your business, there's also built-in business interruption insurance under those policies in most cases. But
Okay.
in our client's case, unfortunately, the really doesn't apply unless he was actually actually contracted the, and it put him in a position where he couldn't come to work for on his policy 90 days.
Gotcha. So disability is only really applicable here if you contract the virus.
That's right. Or if something happens to you that you can't, work. I think there's probably some gray area around the quarantining side of things. But again, because most long-term disability policies don't kick in for 90 days, we're probably not going to ever get to that point.
Well, and even with short-term disability, one thing that we talk about in some of our other videos that people don't always think about is that there is a waiting period, which we kind of think of as a time deductible. So even if you're eligible for it, there's a time that you can't receive any benefit. And when you do receive a benefit, it's generally not 100% of your normal income. It's usually closer to 40%, right, Michael?
That's right. Yep, exactly. 60% is typically the max that is covered under those.
Yeah. But what we're finding for a lot of businesses now is that not everybody can operate on the internet like we're doing right now. We're doing a Zoom conference right now. Obviously, dentists fall under that category. If people aren't coming in, then there's really no way for them to make money. So unfortunately, the next kind of thing that this group has had to think about is laying people off. So Michael, what happens if and when people need to be laid off? How do they navigate their health insurance? Because you start with, okay, and now I don't have a job, now I don't have any income, and I also am kicked off this group plan. So what happens then?
Yeah, and Shan, you're right. That's I think the biggest fear at both the employer level and the employee level too. The employers, I don't think, want to have to lay people off, but when there's no cash flow, that may be ultimately what they have to do. So employees always have either state continuation rights or COBRA rights. So if, let's say, somebody was laid off tomorrow, normally coverage will continue through the end of the month. And then they would be eligible for either state continuation, which in most cases is 18 months, or COBRA, which is also 18 months. And that all is just dependent on the size of the company. If you work for a company with 20 or more employees, then COBRA is the rules that you would follow. But so those employees could look to pick up that coverage on their own. They'd have to be paying for the whole cost. So that's obviously a big concern. So that's one option. The other option is that they can look at the state exchanges or the federal exchange, and there may be opportunities for them to qualify for subsidies because now they've lost their income. So that could be another option that might be out there in the event that an employer has to lay people off or that an employee gets laid off and is looking for options.
Yep. And if you're in this position, we actually have a link to exchanges so you can figure out, again, if you're eligible for a subsidy, and figure out, what's the next step for you, what's best for you. So the next question I have for you, Michael, is if you are a business owner and if you're worried about keeping your doors open for the next couple weeks to even couple months, is there any advice that you would give that, to do the best that you can to avoid layoffs? Or is it just, a matter of communication to your employees and giving them options if they do have to be laid off?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing is to communicate, is to come up with a plan, sit down with your management team if you have one, or sit down with your advisors and really create a plan and then communicate to employees. Employees are extremely worried right now.
Mm-hmm.
As we all know, financially, most people can't go more than 2 or 3 weeks without a paycheck. So, we expect that there will be some federal response to helping people, but I think the worst part is the unknown. So if you can explain and come up with a clear plan for employees, I think employees understand that, businesses can't just operate and continue to pay for salaries if they're not having any income coming in. So, but I think that's really the biggest point to take into account.
I think we're with a lot of groups that this is, like you said, the time to communicate about, what's our response to the crisis in general. And then if you are getting close to that point where you do have to have layoffs, communication is key. And, helping people through what are their options when that does happen. I think that really goes a long way. So if you want more specific information, or if you want to do a quick consultation, we're here to help. This is a tough time for everybody. So feel free to apply to become a client of ours and have a consultation on kind of what your options are. You can do that in the description below. Like we said, are putting out some more videos that are directed towards business owners and towards individuals. If you want to send your employees our way, we are here to help. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell so you know when we come out with those new videos. And yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Stay safe.